Hello and welcome back. My name is Kamilian, and I've completely forgot my intro because I haven't done this in a while. But
You're good, huh?
I am. I'm your host Kamilian. I'm here with people. These two and this one. They claim to be people, but I'm pretty sure one of them's a scroll. I don't know who's who, but I do know their names. From my right onwards, we've got Mitch, Matt, and Tegan.
Hello!
Looking at the computer, but you should be looking at the camera.
I don't give a damn.
Take this in.
Camera.
Oh, this is gonna be great. Okay, so today, naturally, super exciting. We're in person for the first time in a long time. First time for here ourselves.
Yep.
We've come from 3 different states to make this work. So
We didn't have to go anywhere.
naturally, hang on, we missed that. Yeah. So naturally,
Just did the exact same thing. Yeah, but we never practiced it.
Yeah, we're talking about Marvel. talking about Marvel. So we're gonna go through this phase by phase, see how we go. We're gonna stick to movies for the moment. Just try and keep it clean. Otherwise,
Clean. Good boy.
I mean, clean and simple.
Clean and simple. Not
Not
simple as
boring.
in like
He's
Rain
trying to
Ranger.
avoid any sort of conflict like last time. Where everybody ganged up on poor Kami. Because he was wrong.
This time he's in the same room as us.
Yeah.
This time it got dangerous. Danger got very real.
Oh dear. Look, I'd love to fix the lighting on some of these cameras, but I didn't have time, and I don't really care that much. So let's do this. Starting from Tegan. Phase 1. Thoughts.
Marvel.
Accurate.
I loved Iron Man 1. And I remember going to the movies with Matt, and we'd only been dating for what? Not even a year?
Something like that.
What time? What year did it get released? Does anyone know?
2008, May 2nd to be exact.
Oh, right. So we'd been dating for a while.
We've been dating like 3 or 4 years at that point.
But I remember going, and it was exciting the same way that watching, the original 3 Batman movies were exciting as a kid. It was the same level of excitement. I find it hard not to look at you and look at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Kami.
That's fine. That's fine. You can look at me. That's fine.
So I did, and I was really excited, and I thought it was a brilliant fucking movie. And obviously the ending, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, you live under a rock.
If you haven't
and don't
seen
know
a
what you
nearly
need.
20-year-old movie, you're about to get a spoiler.
Yeah. That ending, that last line, and everyone in the movie's like, yeah! It was all very exciting. Now, how many years later are we? Do the math.
Almost 20.
20
So
years.
2008, 14 years.
Yeah.
14 years later, I'm just a bit marvelled out, if I'm being honest. It's too much now.
Yeah.
What makes things great is that they're not just constantly flogged. And Marvel is just constantly flogged.
You could argue
So-
Star Wars is doing the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would. But, I don't know, it's something different about the way Marvel's doing it, and what you need to know, and what you don't know, and I've missed one movie, so I think I've missed quite a few. I haven't watched all of it, because, are you kidding me? I have a life outside of Marvel, and they don't seem to want to recognise that. But, aside from that, it's just, dead horse. There are movies that I still think are really good. So the Spider-Man ones, and especially with Tom Holland, I think they're really, really good. What's the latest one?
No Way Home.
No Way
No Way
Home
Home.
was very good. Really loved Black Panther. Really loved Guardians of the Galaxy. But putting it all together in one big thing, it's just, I'm over it. Maybe. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
It was great in, like, phase 1 was fantastic because it sort of had everything sort of slowly coming together, slowly linking in together, and then you got the Avengers movie, and that was like, it was what every I grew up as a comic book nerd. I worked in a comic book store during college. And everything you wanted it to be, that build-up of everything sort of linking together in really clever ways to hit the Avengers movie was like, this is fantastic. This is way to go. I love everything that Disney's doing. And then it sort of went back and it started doing the build-up again into, with Civil War and then Age of Ultron. Or, no, other way around. Age of Ultron, then Civil War.
Yes.
Yeah, so it started doing the build-up again and then came into, the Infinity War saga. And it was, again, fantastic. And now it's, like, they keep hitting the peak and they keep trying to hold that peak of excitement. And I think I've watched Multiverse of Madness, because, Master of the Multiverse, sorry, because Doctor Strange is cool. But yeah, the most recent new Marvel release we've seen was Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special, which was actually fantastic.
Yeah, that was good.
Because it didn't try to link with everything else. It's just like, here's a standalone goofy-ass movie, and I loved it.
It got to a point for me, and what started killing it for me was which Thor movie killed it for me? Ragnarok. I just walked out of the theatre going, seriously? And it's a lot of people's favourite movie, which I can't understand, because the toilet humour in it. What I loved about things like Iron Man is their humour was either very tongue-in-cheek or it was really well written for the characters. Thor's whole storyline, from Ragnarok onwards, even into the crap that was in Endgame and stuff.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was like watching an episode of Family Guy for him. And it really diminished Thor's character overall, diminished that whole side of the Marvel Universe, and it was just plain stupid.
And the funny thing is you've got characters like Rocket who are trying to link in and do the same thing. They're like that outsider and trying to join in with the rest of the world, but it's not done in a stupid, goofy way. Like, you've got characters that are actually there. Rocket, you can see that he's sort of a little bit, creature out of space, creature out of time sort of thing, but he's a more mature and well-done character than Thor is at the end.
Yeah, they completely destroyed Thor's character, which diminishes his character.
And you know what the
The
sad
God
thing,
of Thunder, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, you know what the sad thing was? They actually showed the depression really well when they got to the Fat Thor thing and all that. Don't get me wrong, the movie itself was still but they actually showed the depression and the coming to terms with all that really well in it.
Less than 10 minutes. I want to say we're currently, including the amount of time, well, it's less than 10 minutes, and we're already going, you know what, Phase 1 was good, but fuck Ragnarok. Fuck it hard.
Exactly.
So we've already gone away from the agenda. But look, jumping back a step to Phase 1, there were no spoilers. People weren't leaking things. People weren't going, look, here's photos from the sets. It was.
Because they hadn't hired Tom Holland yet.
But I mean,
I love Tom Holland, but there's a reason that he never knew about the ending of Endgame.
Yeah. Well, I think from what the rumors said, Downey Jr. was the only one who got a full script, from what I recall or I've heard. But no, like, I mean, when I went to the cinema and I saw no, sorry, it wasn't even the cinema. When I watched at home The Incredible Hulk, and just by chance left it running, went to grab a drink and stuff, and came back after the credits to turn it off, and I saw that end credit scene with Stark. What?
I don't think I've seen that Incredible Hulk movie.
And then just to see Thor's hammer at the end of Iron Man 2.
I vaguely remember that.
The Tesseract at the end of Thor. I mean, it all led up perfectly to Avengers, where there had been next to no spoilers. Nothing at this point. You were genuinely surprised and confused. And it infuriates me that there are people out there who go, well, why do you care about spoilers? Who cares? It's a movie. I want to enjoy it as much as everybody else. Leave the spoilers out of it. So no, Phase 1 for me was fantastic because you just didn't see it. I didn't see it ever coming. No one had made something that big at that kind of scale before.
The whole thing with spoilers, and I personally hate spoilers, even if I'm behind on watching stuff, I try to avoid it because, we've spoken about this in video games, we've spoken about this in so many other things, and I think this sort of applies to all of us. We're all about the story, and part of a good story is the twist. Like, the classic example of like a heist movie, like, a really terrible example, they've always got that twist in there at the end that's meant to come out of nowhere. And even when you go into a heist movie knowing that there's going to be a twist, when the twist happens, you're still like, oh my god, that was an awesome twist. Yet when you 2 minutes after the movie's released, you look on Twitter or you look on Facebook and there's just thousands of people going, oh my god, the twist where this person betrayed these people, loses that immediately. Like,
Not just that though. I've also, this is something which unfortunately a lot of the movie companies have done since they hire outside people to do the trailers and stuff like that. They did them really well in phase 1, but you start getting issues where later on they'd start either including some of the twists in the trailers where you're just looking going, I wanted to see that on screen, not just as a 10-second snippet that's now going to ruin everything else.
Well, this is what Marvel will. Well, I'm not sure if they will anymore because of the laws that have changed somewhere in America, but I think it's America. But anyway, basically, companies can be sued for falsely advertised, well, not falsely, but misleading trailers. And I really enjoyed the way that Marvel would edit things. Like for Thor Ragnarok, for example, they edited his eye back in, or left it in, I guess. For Infinity War, when you see Thanos crushing down on Captain America, he's only got 2 stones in his glove, not 5.
In the trailers.
In the trailer, yeah. And then, of course, the biggest one that everyone refers to is Hulk running through Wakanda towards the enemy when he's just not present at all. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
So
way
you're saying they can't do that anymore?
They have the potential to be sued over it, yeah. So it's just a bit... Anyway.
I mean, where it's difficult for any company, it's the same thing. Like, especially in this day and age, you've got to build hype for your product. Anything you're releasing, you've got to make people want to spend their money on it. But if you give too much, the problem is like, it used to be back in the day, it's like, oh, a trailer came out, everyone's like, oh, that trailer was sick. Nowadays, it's like, this trailer came out, oh, did you notice the Black Panther? His costume is, a slightly different shade of grey, and it has an extra, if you pause it at 3 minutes and 31 seconds, you can see there's, an extra little line on his suit. Oh, that could be linked to this, or, and the whole thing. And again, with Marvel, DC, Star Wars, there's so much lore out there for it that unfortunately people are going to jump on that shit. It's one of those things that you can't, they're under such a sharp magnifying glass. If they wreck anything or get anything wrong, people are going to be in uproar. People are going to hate it. People are going to boycott movies. But
it's kind of that noise, and it's not even the people making the Marvel movies or anything. It is that noise that is why I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that noise.
Well,
it takes away
But
from.
you've got to be the first. It's like news journalism all over again. You doesn't matter whether you're right or not. You just got to be the first.
Yeah.
And just fucking annoying.
And not just that, it's also the fact of nowadays, no matter what movie you've got, people are going to pour over the trailers and reveal so much stuff that you had no intention to. Like, going way back when to the Godzilla movie release, remember? They literally found in the reflection that one of the 3D artists had done in the eye in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
They found the
Mecha
Mechagodzilla
in his eye
before the movie ever released.
So, anyway.
Well, this is the thing. Trailers are meant to be watched like they're a 90-second trailer.
Yeah.
It's meant to be watched over 90 seconds. But the problem is any bit of film that you pull apart, when you view 90 seconds over the space of 6 hours, you're suddenly talking a very different thing.
Yeah, you've got people who now have it as their job. Well, their YouTube job essentially to just, pull apart and go, so this is most likely a reference to this in this comic book, which would mean that it actually goes into this, which goes into that, which is how this all looks together.
And I know that people, the common argument against what we're talking about right now is, well, just don't watch it. Well, just don't open the article. But when it's everywhere,
Yeah.
you can't avoid it. You can't. I want to be able to open social media and not have spoilers clog up my.
But the
my
problem
wall.
is, and again, you're talking about social media and Facebook marketing algorithms and everything. So obviously, I look up Marvel stuff. I watch Marvel trailers, so therefore it gets populated on my newsfeed.
Yeah.
So even if I'm surrounded by mates that aren't going to give me spoilers, that are going to do the right thing, it's still all over my Facebook page.
Yeah.
The tragic death scene from Endgame, the funeral scene from Endgame, and this is what happened. You're like, what the fuck, YouTube? You've given me a fucking spoiler that somebody actually dies. Even if I never open that article, the information is still there.
Yeah.
I had one worse. Back when I believe it was Endgame that had the snap.
No, it's Infinity War.
Infinity War, that's it. I was just scrolling through Facebook, had a random ad came up that had Spider-Man partially disintegrated on. And I had
That would have ruined the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
That scene in that movie is the best scene in any Marvel movie ever.
And to Tom Holland's
And every
credit,
single time I see it, I cry.
Yeah.
he improvised a lot of that
He
kind of
did such a
babbling.
good job.
Yeah.
He is a Whovian through and through and is...
What I dislike about the culture of Marvel, I suppose, is the best way to put it, is, so as Matt said earlier on, when we went and saw Iron Man, I went and saw it because Matt was really keen. I didn't know anything about Marvel before that. I
Iron Man.
am
Still
not. I did not come from that comic book stance of I loved all of this.
Yeah.
My exposure to comic book culture was through the Batman movies as a kid. That's because, you know, that was just my upbringing. And now you feel like you always get attacked for not knowing. So when people say, "Oh, did you see in this trailer? There's a hint to this person." I'm like, "Oh," because I didn't know who. What's her face? Captain Marvel. I had no idea who that was as a character. And people were, "Oh, they're hinting at this," and I'm like, "Who dat?" And they're like, then I'm torn to pieces. "Oh, you're not a real Marvel fan then." I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah, I'm not a real Marvel fan then."
Any videos that on YouTube, for example, or any articles that say only true fans,
Yeah.
and followed by whatever follows,
Yeah.
immediately triggers me.
It's that gatekeeping crap.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so.
And again, it's something I see in video games and stuff as well. Video games, tabletop games and stuff as well. Like, oh, you don't know, so you can't really play, D&D if you don't know all about this. You can't play Magic the Gathering if you don't know the lore from the, Dominaria War. And I'm like, I play a shitload of Magic, play a shitload of D&D. I don't know fuck all about Forgotten Realms lore. I really don't, because I've never bothered to read it. I know how to play D&D. I love playing D&D, and I love running D&D, and I think I run a pretty good game.
It's a setting.
It's a setting that people have chosen to use. Like, I know enough about Lord of the Rings to be able to hold a conversation about it. If you start talking to me about the I'm struggling to think of it. The Similarian.
Similarity, yeah.
Yeah, the Similarian series. I've never read that, and I don't care. Like, but it's one of those things that
Kamilian, I've read it.
It's one of those
I
things
actually have not read it, but I've got a silly amount of knowledge around it. I have mild forms of dyslexia, and it just takes me a real long time to read. And if I misread one word, I'm not going to go have to read the whole sentence again.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a year to get through. Help me out here.
No.
Fine.
You're on your own.
The Half-Blood Prince.
All right.
It took me so long to get through that because I'm just bad at reading. It's just, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's that gatekeeping stuff. It's just. Oh.
So, is that in short?
But Phase 1 was exciting. The first Avengers movie was bloody awesome. That was the one where they first all get together, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Phase 1, I think, out of all of them, is probably the best phase.
I would agree.
But I think Iron Man's the best movie in Phase 1.
Well, you are not wrong. Each of those origin stories, I feel, they were a slow-paced movie, but they were fantastic. They were filled with content the whole way through. There was not much filler, right? I mean, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, all had their origins in that. Even Hawkeye appeared in that, as well as Black Widow. They were all in those movies before Avengers, right?
I was trying to think where Hawkeye appeared, but it was in Thor. That's right.
In Thor, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't remember.
Yeah, very, very briefly, but yeah. And all the namesake characters on the titles of those movies had really good movies. I mean, when I remember watching the first Captain America movie, walking out thinking I was really slow and I was wanting something more Iron Man-esque. Going back and watching that movie today, I love the first Captain America movie. It's fantastic. And watching just the Captain America movies back to back, it's just all the feels.
That's when I started to get a little bit lost, was with the Captain America series, I think. I remember complaining to you, getting confused after, I think, the second Captain America.
The second one was Winter Soldier, which is the Hydra coming out and
Is it the one that Hugo Weaving's in?
No,
Hugo Weaving's the first one.
Yeah. Because I really like that one.
Okay.
And I'm not biased because I love Hugo Weaving.
But so I guess to wrap up Phase 1, is arguably the best phase.
Yeah.
It's
Collectively, yeah.
Collectively, yeah. It's very stable.
But I
Great
agree with Graham. I think
storytelling.
a lot of that has, well, both of you said it, a lot of that has got to do with the lack of toxic fan base. Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone was excited. There wasn't any gatekeeping. Everyone's just, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Where are they going to take this?
Yeah.
Because of that ridiculous build-up. Like apart from the likes of Harry Potter or maybe Lord of the Rings, we hadn't seen a franchise like
Yeah.
this.
Not just that.
X-Men.
Since
I stand corrected. My apologies.
since everything was just an actual origin story and stuff like that, it was an actual build-up as things went on. Everything added into something else, and they were still getting their feet on it, so it was still very much so, okay, so this is how this movie's going to be, this is how this movie's going to be. But nowadays, I feel like all of them have to follow a very similar formula.
And so one of the points that you made with Star Wars stuff, I find now in Marvel a lot of fan service.
The whole thing with Phase 1, and you look at it, so there have been other superhero movies before that. Like you said, there's been X-Men as a series. There've been all the different Spider-Man releases with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield had done his 2 at that point as well. There'd be the DC Batman, like the 4 DC Batman movies. There'd been all these things, but they never. It was the first X-Men, the second X-Men, the third X-Men, the fourth X-Men, and they're all they didn't touch anything else, right? Whereas one of the things that Phase 1 Marvel did really well, they had like his story A, his story B, his story C, and that all culminates and comes together and slots in really well for one big story. And it was, they took all these different things and sort of, they had a loop, like you knew that they were all owned by Marvel, you knew that they were all Marvel superheroes, so they had a very loose ties to each other, and then sort of smushed it all together at the end with the first Avengers movie, and pulled it off. Like, DC have still been trying to do it with, we've all seen the origin of Batman so many different times.
Later,
yeah.
And they still haven't done it.
Yeah, well they've done, they actually had a good run at it and they dropped the ball, then they decided to scrap it.
Yeah.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah,
Let's not go
for another
there.
time.
Let me leave the
DC
Warner
will
Brothers
be another
DC.
one.
Yeah.
But they took a big risk. They took a big running jump for it, and I actually stand by. They were one of the first people to do it really successfully. X-Men, you had the X-Men series, fantastic. Batman, you had the Batman series, fantastic. Even you talk about Harry Potter, but it's all the same story, right? Game of Thrones, yes, it's got all the seasons, but it's all one big ass story. Marvel and Disney's MCU, they took 4 separate stories that were completely isolated and brought them all together. And even when you go back to the comics, there's not a lot of. I haven't read a lot of origin stuff around, the Avengers coming together. It's you're either reading an Iron Man comic or you're reading an Avengers comic. Like there's very little overlap from the stuff that I was reading back in the day. So Disney did took a big punt, and I think they really delivered with Phase 1.
Yeah, well, on your point, right? Up until that point, we'd had namesake movies. Like we had X-Men. You knew it was X-Men, right? There was Batman. You knew it was in Gotham or the Batman universe, right? Or insert whatever title here. You knew it was in that space. So when Iron Man came out, it was in that space. Iron Man. We had Incredible Hulk, right? And then
Who played the Hulk in that one?
Edward Norton.
Norton. I've seen that.
Yeah.
You've seen that. We've watched it
That's
together.
the old one.
Yeah. Well, they recently brought the same actor from Abomination from that back for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I've got all She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Don't.
Anyway, moving on. But so, and
I haven't even seen the Black Widow.
the concept of post. Oh my god.
Post-credit scenes.
Thank you. I'm not English very well. Hadn't been really.
Drink more.
I don't think they were the first people to do that.
No, they weren't.
But they did it more effectively than anyone had before.
That's it. No one
Because
back
it
then-
became the whole reason to go and watch Marvel movies at
Nope, it
the
hasn't
cinema.
I hit the wrong.
Yeah, it's the whole reason. It was like, no, we have to go to the movies to watch it because you've got to get that post.
Yeah, but back then it hadn't really come into full effect yet, right? So when people, by the time we got to Iron Man 2, right, people had started to see the one in Hulk,
Yeah.
It come out on a DVD by then, and people going, "Oh, have you seen this? Iron Man's there. Why is Iron Man there? When is it talking about, you know?"
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Carlson? No,
Coulson.
Sorry, disappears for second half of the movie, and then comes back, and all of a sudden, you know, you sit around for a bit, bang, there it is.
Yeah.
Right, Mjolnir, right there, and it just clicked that they're trying this.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just Hulk. This isn't just Iron Man. They're actually gunning for the Avengers.
Yeah.
And they're doing it, their own individual stories, as you said, building up to this big thing.
Yeah.
It's not...
Well, at that point,
Yeah.
those characters were not as universally known, so they had to do the origin of them, of the major players. That's why you don't see Hawkeye's or Black Widow's origin until now. And again, I feel like that's more fan service. But back then, you just needed sort of the big Hona's origins to build the world before you brought that Fury.
We completely go on about how amazing Phase 1 is all the way to the cows come home.
Yes, we could.
But for the sake of controversy, Phase 2.
Now, I can never remember the groupings of movies, so
Phase 2,
can you just lay me out the Phase 2
100%. We have Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man, all spanning for 3 years. 2 years. 2 years, sorry. Spanning for 2 years, 2013, 2015.
So this is the start of where everything felt like it started rushing out. Like there was so much content to try and take in. And this is sort of the start of it. There was still some amazing stuff in there. Thor Dark World, I take it or leave it. It was an okay.
Thor Dark World. Is that the one where the black stuff goes into it?
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah. Take it or leave it as a movie.
I thought it was black. Sorry.
Iron Man
Why got to be
3
black?
I thought it was black.
It's really dark red. But is that the point?
Iron Man 3 was Abomination
Lucky
Against
Three.
God for one reason and one reason only. They took the Mandarin, the greatest villain that Iron Man ever had,
Yeah,
and
Matt's
they just
salty
fucking
about
made a
that.
joke out of him. They turned him into a fucking joke. And that actually pissed me off in a major way. Like, the Mandarin for Iron Man was always, he was at, like, the peak of technology versus, like, the peak of magic. And that's what it always was in every comic that you ever read with it. Even you go to your animated series, like your old animated series, you know, yeah, you had the Armor Wars, like whole saga where everybody was basically building their own Iron Man suits, and that sort of got touched on in the first Iron Man movie and like first 2 Iron Man movies. But then you go to the third one, and it's like, well, forget all of that, forget all that cool shit. Here's some fucking actor that's playing as a dude, and some guy who randomly gets a superpower that doesn't really even make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
What surprised me the most, other than Matt's reaction to that movie, because I, again, had no context who the Mandarin was, but he was pretty steady-faced about it.
still in.
I actually looked at it from the actor who portrayed the Mandarin's point of view. Like, it was Ben Kingsley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And to have him play that kind of whiny, sneezy little role when he's supposed to be this ultimate villain, that caught me off, actually.
To Ben Kingsley's credit, though,
He did a good job of it.
he plays those roles. Any role he goes into,
Yeah.
he just puts 110% commitment.
Yes, he does.
Right?
But
But
I
I think
was-
of him like in Prince of Persia, for example,
Yeah,
and then back to this. I mean, whatever he goes into,
Absolutely.
even the live action Jungle Book, playing
Yes.
Bagheera, he was
yeah.
brilliant.
He's a very well. It's like Gary Oldman. Like they stand on the same platform, in my opinion. But it was off-putting to see him play. You know, because the whole movie's leading up to he's this, you know,
Super terrorist, like
super terrorist, larger than life persona, and then he's just this sniffling little hooker addicted cocaine shithead. I was just like jarring.
Yeah, I gotta say that. I mean, the movie itself was very, very average. I did find the scene where they finally confront him pretty funny. Kind of was they said get you off the drugs. Said they'd give me more.
Yeah, it was almost out of
It
place,
was-
and it was that forced humor that you see in Ragnarok. I know we're not there.
Oh, that line,
but-
I lost my shit. I laughed.
Yeah, it was just, yeah. It's
This-
Ginny tying up Harry Potter's shoes. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable.
Oh, I keep forgetting to switch the back. Sorry.
alright,
So Iron Man 3 is
garbage.
garbage.
Who played the real, it was Guy Pearce, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Correct.
I actually remember being disappointed in his performance. So
Well,
I'm a
he-
massive Guy Pearce fan.
Yeah.
He's one of my all-time top favourite movies. He's in it.
Oh, I can't remember the name of the organization he represented though, but that organization is usually tied to Murdoch. Did I say it right, Murdoch?
Yeah, Mordor.
Murdoch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the dude that sits in a chair.
Basically,
It's
his
super
whole
brain.
body's a head, and he's like looks like an egg, but it's just a head with arms and legs. His body is tiny. How he gets there varies. He's potentially going to appear in the next Ant-Man movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So cool. Next it was like Thor Dark World.
Skip right over that. We don't need to talk about that shit.
Wasn't
It was really slow. It was really slow, but I didn't mind it because I enjoyed the lore of it. But it's not something I'm gonna go back and watch individually. I will watch it every time, and I run through all of them, which I do every 2 or 3 years. But individually, I'm not gonna go back to it. Same with Iron Man 3. I'll watch it as part of the
whole.
saga. I'm not gonna watch it individually. No way.
fair enough.
Winter Soldier. Mitch, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Winter Soldier, I felt, was a surprisingly good outing. It marked the turnaround of Phase 2, because you had a crappy one, an okay one, and Winter Soldier is where it started actually.
Well, this is where the Russo
It was
brothers
quite
stepped in.
It was quite a popular one, I remember.
Yeah, this is quite literally where the Russo brothers stepped in. They've done 4 movies, 2 Captain American movies, right? So, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame.
Mm.
Yeah,
They've kind of got the best track record of MCU movies, in my opinion.
and that's the thing. It was the first time that we got a sequel that didn't feel like it was just sequel bait.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, but you get what I mean. In Phase 2, it was
Just to clarify, because it's been a long time since I've seen most of these movies.
Yep,
Winter Soldier's the one with Bucky,
correct.
yeah,
where they mind control him and he goes and kills Stark's parents.
Correct.
yeah.
I actually like that.
No, that's... Wait. That's
The
not...
Winter Soldier has Bucky in it.
Yeah, but that's not when he kills...
Oh.
Yeah, it's Civil War where
Yeah.
like, they find out that he killed.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, no, so do I, yeah. Yeah, but no, this
Spoiler.
is...
I can't really remember Winter Soldier. Was that the one where Hydra takes over, or?
Yes, it's where
actually, that one
Hydra...
was pretty good.
It's where Hydra takes over and they launch 3 new helicarriers.
Yeah,
And
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Captain America ends up fighting Bucky.
yeah.
And they plummet out of the...
And they're on the glass, they're fighting on top of the
Yeah,
glass. I remember
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
That movie generated so many good memes because of that
Yeah.
elevator scene.
And not just the elevator scene, the scene with what's his name, the Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Nick Fury.
Yeah, Fury with the
We're
rocket
naming
launcher.
really well today.
Yeah, with the rocket launcher and just the.
Is that
I
when
only-
he's in the car and he gets attacked in his car?
No, this is the one where he steps out and literally shoots down one of the things.
Oh,
I think.
yeah, I remember that scene.
Yeah, and just
See, they're all-
Winter Soldier did have the scene with the car though. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
scene was pretty
Oh,
cool.
That scene was good, yeah.
yeah.
We
I
have.
think it was
Oh, sorry.
I heard their orders, but he said, I think it's something along the lines of I've chosen to ignore it essentially
Yeah.
because they're dumb orders.
Dumb fucking orders. There is one actor in that movie that we are not talking about, which we need to. You know who I'm going to talk about. I mention it every time we watch these movies.
Mhm.
There is an Australian actor in these movies that I don't even know if his character's got a name, but he was one of my favourite actors when I was a kid because, you know, being a young teenage girl, I used to watch Heartbreak High. And Drazik from Heartbreak High is in these movies, and it makes me happy.
I can't even think
He's
of
in
it.
the elevator scene.
For the life of me, don't even know who.
So he's one of the SHIELD guys, and he's got a scar on his face because it's actually a scar that he has in real life.
Right.
I'm going to find out who it is.
So what are you telling me? There's a guy there who has a scar on his face because he actually has a scar on his face.
And every girl
Riveting.
in Australia who grew up late 80s, early 90s was in love with Drazik, and it makes it awesome to see him in these big movies. That's all I have to say.
Just sing yourself. Alrighty. Awesome. So I think we're gonna go up to another. Like this one might cause a bit, but Guardians of the Galaxy.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Look, I know how the two of you sit. Right. The high positives on this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Loved it.
Mm.
Favourite, clever, witty, funny, without stupid toilet humour funny. a different kind. And I suppose, is this our first real interaction with, besides Thor, aliens?
No, you had.
Well, you had Avengers.
You already had the
okay.
Avengers show up.
Yeah.
Avengers
The
fight.
Dark
But
World,
that
the
was
Dark World.
on Earth.
Well, that's
This
Yeah.
isn't this the first time we're taken out of Earth?
Yes.
properly
Oh,
apart
yeah,
from
no-
Thor.
Not
Yeah.
counting Thor. Nobody counts Thor.
Yeah, but I don't. It's not because I don't count Thor as being not from Earth. It's because they're gods. It's different.
It's not
And I suppose
spacey.
it's not spacey. I don't think of Thor and the whole story as spacey. I think of it as Viking.
Like the
Because
Viking
that's
mythology.
what it is. It's Viking mythology.
Mm.
But Guardians of the Galaxy was really cool because it was the first space alien one. I just thought it was really witty. It was really funny. For a one movie, and as a standalone, it had a lot in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was very clever.
Yeah, no, fair.
Plus, Chris Pratt dances like a fucking boss.
And I, oh God, we're terrible with names today now. I've forgotten his name. What's his name? The blue guy. What's his name?
Drax.
Yandu?
Pardon?
Oh, Yandu.
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 Yeah.
Favourite character. Yeah. And even the Collector. I love him. He's one of my favourite actors. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, say no more. He had such a tiny, small, little role, but it was done so well. It is so
Matt's
memorable.
just staring at me. He's just the boba's coming out.
Did he check out played the
Oh,
Collector?
he was fantastic.
It was brilliant. It was really,
I'm waiting
really
for
clever.
Kami's rebuttal because I'm gonna get great film coverage of me headlocking and dragging him off camera.
No
And
matter
it's
what
gonna
I
be
Do you not
beautiful.
like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, dude. No matter what I say about the Collector, because you're going on about how amazing he is in such a small role, if I agree, I'm going to get smashed. If I disagree, I'm going to get smashed.
Of course you are.
Right? So I'm locked
You are
either
fucked.
way. Alright?
But he's got like 2 great lines in it.
And he delivered them so well. That's why he's one of my favourite
the
characters from that
Collector was
movie.
good. The Collector was good. But the movie as a whole, it just didn't
Even the
land
little
quite right with
wave.
me when I first saw it.
Even in the little wave in Endgame or Infinity War, whichever one it is, when Thanos has replicated the Collector's lair.
Yeah.
Even the little, oh God, he did such a good job of that.
Oh, dear.
I can't find this. Anyway, somebody else's opinion.
Mitch?
I actually did quite enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy. I felt that they were starting to get into a bit of a rhythm with the other movies, and Guardians of the Galaxy essentially just went, yep, sweet, you've got your rhythm, I'm doing my own thing.
Well, it was also the first
Yeah.
brand new story since Captain America.
Yeah, it felt like it wasn't linked to the others like we know now that it is, but it felt like at the time they were going, okay, so this is what's happening on Earth, and we're going to actually go to a different part so we can have something new and fresh.
Mm.
And
But once again, they managed to like really tie it back into the rest of the story as well. Like they did this standalone movie that sort of didn't tie anything into anything except that it did. Like they tied it in really nicely. I know Star-Lord wasn't true to the comic book version of himself. Like Chris Pratt's Star-Lord was very different to what the comics were, but it was done. He was done in such a cool way, like such a like, and it still gives that ties for him back to humanity as well. Yeah, like and that's the thing. Like, and again, Tegan and I, we talk about the toilet humor in Ragnarok, and then the scene there. I didn't know what that was going to do. I'm sorry. Like, it just won't go away.
It's
you look.
really witty humour without.
Hey, Chris
Throwing
Pratt
yourself
all
down the
you want. He did that role very well.
He did it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look. There's a great scene in Parks and Rec where they're trying to find the new Jerry, the new butt of all the office jokes, and they try and force one of the characters tries to force Chris Pratt's character into it, and he gets put aside. And he's like, he's got no shame. You can't turn somebody who's got no shame into the butt of the humor because he's like, he gets pen a pen leaks in his mouth. He's got ink all over his face.
To
He's
know
running
that
up
Chris
to-
Pratt has no shame, all you need to do is watch movie 43.
Oh my god. You've been very politely quiet this whole time, Mitch.
yeah,
You're allowed to butt in.
I know, but we're having good conversations. I'm allowed to listen.
No! How dare you enjoy the conversation?
You're allowed to butt in too at some point, you know.
I'm going to
Scared
butt
to.
in.
Yeah.
This is him. His name is Callan Mulvey. And I don't think he has a name, but he's in all of the Avengers. He's in all of the Avengers ones and S.H.I.E.L.D. He's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and he's in the elevator scene. And it makes me happy.
Happy for you.
But after that, so after Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a good wholesome kind of movie. But at the same time, when I first saw it, I didn't really like it for some reason. I can't put my finger on why. Because now,
Some people just have no taste, man.
well,
Well,
now
you really do.
my views completely flipped on it. Whereas I can't quite recall what it was. But now, absolutely love the movie. But Age of Ultron has globally has kind of quite the division. So,
How's this going to fall at the table, do you reckon?
I liked it. I liked Age of Ultron.
I liked Age of Ultron. I still felt as if they did the Speedster a bit dirty in it.
The Flash.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, stop trying to ping us with DC. You're both trying to trigger us.
That's why I said Speedster. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember
but
if I knew it wasn't
not
Flash.
you. These two are trying to trigger us with DC. He's wearing a bloody,
We would
Marvel
never.
shirt. We
We would
and
never
That's
do
not
that.
a Marvel shirt.
no, a DC shirt. You know what I mean? Damn it.
The best Speedster.
Anyway,
We are a DC
I
household.
was tempted to try and trigger him by saying it was a Shazam shirt.
While you are under this roof,
Oh shit.
we are a DC household.
Well, I guess it's time for us to leave.
It's time for us to leave. No, on that, just very quickly, the live action movies are without a doubt 100% Marvel's favor. However, all of the animated stuff, period.
Okay, I think you need to reword that to, in my opinion.
No.
No. All the animated stuff, though, without a shadow of a doubt, is 100%.
Schneider Cut was a masterpiece. The first Wonder Woman was a fucking masterpiece.
The
There's been,
second one promoted rape.
I haven't actually seen the second one.
Second one
The
of what?
problem,
Wonder Woman.
I could legitimately do a whole Hear Us Out episode talking about DCU.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just skip over the
Yeah,
DC.
okay, I'll come back
Stick
to
to
this later.
Marvel.
So,
Save that point for another day.
Age of Ultron. Mitch.
Mhm.
So I have to change the camera again.
He just said he liked it, except for Quicksilver.
Cool. I have to change the camera anyway. Take him.
It's probably one of my favorite Avengers movie, and it's mostly only because of James Spader. I think he did an excellent job of that role, considering you never see him; he's just a voice.
He's just
Yeah.
a voice actor.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think he did that character no end of
They
justice.
did it perfectly. Just the moment in the fucking shed where it's just, you're going to need this, and he just holds the hammer out to him, and it's just, Thor looks at him and just, good work, Stark.
Yeah. And I love Jarvis's little story, and I didn't realise how attached I was to Jarvis until he nearly died. And then nearly died, and then became Vision, and then died. So,
But you realise that the most common theory as to why he's able to pick it up is purely because he's a machine. Right? Not because he's worthy.
what's that got to do with Jarvis?
Jarvis is absolutely worthy. How dare you fucking say that?
I'm not. I'm just bringing up a rumor.
I thought
No,
that
I
they
like it.
confirmed
Theory,
it,
sorry.
though.
Sorry?
I thought that the show writers had confirmed that he was worthy, though.
I don't recall, to be honest.
I
can't. I don't know.
If it was all it took was a robot, then Ultron should have been able to catch the hammer and pick it up.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So by your logic, you're wrong, sir.
It's not my. I'm just
I do.
passing on information I have read. I'm not. Don't you
This shit though, it's part of what comes back to the whole way, like this conversation right here is part of the whole thing. So I get really frustrated when Joey, who's been on this stream, he comes out watching, you know, like videos of picking apart the Simpsons logic or picking apart you know, like whatever random ass TV show it is. He's like, oh, you know, like I was watching this video and they're like, oh, this is wrong with the Simpsons and it has this miscontinuity here. I'm like, who the fuck cares? And this is a whole thing that you know, it's always been happening with comic books, but now it's so mainstream. There's so many more people being vocal about, like, oh, well, how come Vision could pick up the hammer? He doesn't even have a soul. How can a robot be, you know?
It's the reason comic book guy was the heel in The Simpsons. Because
Exactly,
that's exactly who he was. He would sit there in the movie theater with his computer going, beep, 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 beep.
Worst movie ever. I will only see it 8 more times.
Yes, thank
Today.
you.
Just say.
How
But-
did they know? Throws his PC after him.
But I think they were kind of also self-conscious because at the end of Age of Ultron, you've got Captain America and Bucky. And Bucky?
Well, they ripped off The Incredibles to begin with. His face. The whole collateral damage from superheroes and all that came after Age of Ultron. That is a total rip-off of The Incredibles.
We're done here.
I knew that would trick you.
Oh,
Incredibles did it first.
Cummy.
Yeah, Hook, Line and Sinker. Yeah.
Simpsons did it.
Oh my god. Priest did it. No, the whole Captain America, and I can't remember who else, but they're talking to Thor. And they go, an elevator would have lifted Mjolnir. Is it worthy? They're making fun of it in that same movie where they've all tried to lift it.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, there's also rumours going back to that point where you know, Captain America purposely didn't lift it, that he could have in that moment. Again,
Well,
just
you did
theories.
say it shift,
Well, yeah, exactly.
which some people theorise that
That he'd be
he
able to.
could have lifted it, but he didn't save Thor's, ego. And some people have theorised that he could, but he wasn't ready yet. We have no way to know.
Yeah.
What?
But look, the other thing is also that, like, Ultron himself, he was great,
Excellent.
funny, and great. Personality was amazing, but he was not the powerhouse I was expecting. Have you ever seen What If?
No.
No.
What do you mean he wasn't the powerhouse you were expecting?
Watch What If.
What else did you want him to do? He destroyed an entire country.
Watch What If.
What if what?
The Disney series What If.
What If. It's just called What If.
But how has that got anything to do with the movie?
And this comes back to the same thing
It
Tigger was
has
saying.
Ultron
Like,
in there exactly as I expected him.
yeah,
But that's not fair to the movie. You can't say that's like me saying, "Oh well, Batfleck did a really good job of the later Batman and that darker Batman, so now I hate Michael Keaton."
No.
That's not fair.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying I don't like the Ultron. I'm saying the Ultron in that movie was fantastic. As I said, his humor, his general attitude, just everything I mentioned before. I can't remember the wording I was using, but everything
You
about
said
him.
he wasn't the powerhouse you expected him to be.
Correct, and that's the one thing.
Did you think that before or after you watched What If?
Before.
So why does What If change it?
No, I'm just saying, using that as a platform to go, hey, this is what I was expecting. Right, it's me.
So What If? What you're telling me, because I haven't seen What If.
Yeah.
What you're now telling me is What If is pure fan service, like Mandalorian.
No. They don't. No.
like Boba Fett.
I hate this. I hate this so much. No.
No, because if you're not the only fan who came out and said he wasn't really the powerhouse I was expecting, yes, he was funny, yes, he pulled it off well, so they've probably put him in What If purely to appease people like you.
Yeah. See, this is the first one that actually had the issue like what Matt had with the Mandarin.
Mandarin, yeah.
Because the issue was that they did Age of Ultron and then brought out Ant-Man. You know that Ultron was originally meant to be made by the old inventor in Ant-Man.
I don't know.
Hank Pym.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Pym.
Pym.
So who made him in the movie? Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Stark and
Banner.
So I was sitting there going, you know, this would have been different, this would have been different, this would have been different. And I couldn't get my head into the actual movie proper because it was one of the few storylines I knew going in there what it was in the comic. And my brain just didn't want to...
There's a
Switch off.
difference between what they did with Ultron in What If and fan service. With fan service, they're bringing in something new, which hasn't happened before. What If is already a set of comics, which has happened. It's already there.
So which one is canon then, the movie or What If?
Both.
This is
How is
where
there
this
difference?
is where this is where everything comic.
Oh,
goes
let's
over.
just escape with everything so we can create every kind of
No,
character in
quite
every
literally,
city
what
show
if-
because it's multiverse.
What if is
That's
based?
such a cop out.
What if is based in the we're in the
It's a cop-out.
we're in the multiverse saga.
It is a cop out so they can
Yes,
continue
it's
to
a
sell
cop out. Both
copies.
DC and Marvel have
Exactly
done the
right.
exact same
Yeah.
thing.
I'm not saying they haven't.
I'm just saying that it was already it's already an existing comic series, and quite literally, it's we're
But
taking-
would they have made it if fans weren't upset with what happened with Ultron in the original movies?
I don't know the answer.
Neither of us
to
know
that.
the answer.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I would argue yes because it ties into a number of different things, including Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Right. Even Spider-Man, but it's taken like as an example. The very first episode is what if something happened in the room where Steve got his injections to make him Captain America, which forced him to be unable to do so. I.e., the assassin was still in the room and actually managed to shoot him.
Yeah.
Therefore, Peggy gets it instead and becomes.
She-Hulk.
So the Captainess. That's it.
It's still Captain America. It
Yeah.
can't be anything. It doesn't need to be anything other than Captain America.
Carter. Right, as we see in
Fucking chauvinistic pricks.
Why is it Captain
Why
Carter?
can't a woman represent
Why can't
as
a woman
Captain
be
America?
Captain America?
because she has the British flag on her.
Why can't she be Captain Britain then?
I don't know. I don't know. God damn it! What is she doing?
Go to
Mitch?
you on purpose now.
Yes.
Oh, this is. I missed it again. God damn. But anyway, but look, they take that and initially in the animated movie series, they do individual episodes. You think, okay, they're just doing the What If comics, and towards the end, you finally realize, oh, they're all tying in together, right? Because this version of Ultron has happened to. Do you care about spoilers?
A little bit.
We'll come back to this. But basically, Ultron is in that series far more of a threat than Thanos ever was. And people, yes, definitely the way they portray, the way they visually portray Ultron, most likely fan service, yes. However, this is the Ultron that people wanted to see in place of this one. Not that the one that we got was bad, not by any means.
The part of the problem is that everything needs to have a bit of a conclusion within the movie series. Like you can't, you know, like Thanos. There was a hard conclusion at the end of it. You know, at the end of Endgame or at the start of Endgame. You know, there's always got to be that hard conclusion in a movie series because you can't have Ultron keep coming back over and over again. You just can't do that in a movie series. It's more than acceptable in a comic book series because you sort of forget about Ultron, he disappears in the background.
Yep.
You know, you read a whole bunch of Batman comics and it doesn't mention the Joker at all. Like, you know, it's because he's got his own rogues gallery. But you look at all the movie adaptations and Joker is like one of the big bads in pretty much every single one because he's the most synonymous villain of Batman. Or one of the best villains of all time.
I'd
But
argue the best.
you can't. The thing is, you can't do that in the same way with a movie series. Like,
No, you can't.
you know, people. Again, you talk about multiverse stuff. You talk about all that sort of stuff. You can't go with a bit of vagueness in that in a movie series because the thing is, if you released, you know, an Iron Man movie where Obadiah Stone was back around as the warmonger, like people are going to sort of, well, hang on, that doesn't make sense. What's going on? Even if you've got a different actor to play Tony Stark, people are still going to ask those same questions. But you know, Warmonger in the comics is like always around. He's one of Tony's regular villains that he fights against. It's that adaptation from bringing it from, you know, paper where you can have a single fight run across 100, 150 issues versus a movie where you've got three hours, or maybe you do, you know, a trilogy. You've got sort of 6 hours to wrap everything up and get a full conclusion. So it's, you know, you can do that with a TV series. You can have, you know, the same enemy drag out and constantly like just slip away at the end. You can't do that with movies. You just can't.
Yeah, no, I agree, but there's actually not a but. I would not want to see Ultron come back because of exactly what you just said. The only way that I would like to see multiversal stuff happen in what I can recall now is I don't know how they're going to introduce the X-Men. I don't know how that's going to happen. Maybe that, but cameos like we saw in Multiverse of Madness or Spider-Man would be the only way forward that I would want to see multiverse explicitly used. If that makes sense. I don't want to see.
Like Doc Ock and that.
Yeah, I don't want to see a reboot. Like I don't want to see the movies you've just. Like,
I'm
examples
actually just
for
really
the exact same
grateful they
reasons.
use the same actors.
100%.
I loved how they did No Way Home.
100%. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I mean, I would not want to see a live action What If.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it's super confusing. The fact that it made it animated, it's distanced itself that much further to make it separate.
Mm.
However, with what they did with certain characters to keep it ambiguous for the two of you, what they did with certain characters in there, with the movies coming out around that same time, it made certain things or aspects kind of think, oh, look, kind of, oh shit, is this, oh, people were going into overdrive without going down too much of the route we mentioned before, that why Phase 1 was so good. Like, there wasn't too much of the reading into it that I picked up on.
Oh, there was when Ant-Man was released. Holy
Oh,
crap.
yeah. But anyway, so Age of Ultron, consensus, still very good.
My favourite thing about Age of Ultron, besides James Spader, was what it set up for Civil War and how that
Oh,
came
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. As a standalone movie, it was like, a solid, B minus, maybe a C plus. Like as a standalone movie. When you watch Avengers and then like if you skip all this, so in between shit and go like Avengers, Age of Ultron, Civil War, like suddenly you've got these three movies that really tie together super well. Like, and you're 100% right, babe. Age of Ultron sets all that up. Like hey, maybe having superheroes running the world, not that great. Like,
Yeah.
Which is not a new concept. Incredibles did it.
Hancock
But
did it.
Hancock did it.
The
But
best
like,
superhero movie.
what? And Civil War must be in Phase 3 then, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll hold off saying that until we get there.
Civil War starts Phase 3.
Okay, cool. I'll hold it.
Yeah, well, essentially what I was going to say is, at this point in Phase 2, they were able to bring out each movie as, while it was part of a series, you could watch each one individually and still follow the plot. Like, even if you'd never heard of Iron Man before,
Yeah.
you'd be able to start up Avengers, see, oh yes, there's a billionaire guy who seems to have some mechanical suit that can do this stuff. They started to lose that the further they went on, because now there was...
Yeah, but they can't. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
hard to
but
maintain.
at the same time, yes, it's hard to maintain, but I think that's part of the issue. They have gone too far at this point.
Well, you
There's-
could argue the same for Episode 7 of Star Wars, right? I mean,
The hard part is, again, you can't keep reintroducing the same thing. Like, you guys have seen me play Pokemon games. I get so cranky because it's like, oh my god, really? I weaken a Pokemon and throw a Pokeball ball at it to catch it? I am shocked! You've got to include that shit in the video game. You can't assume that somebody's played every video game.
exactly. We're still getting brand new people to Pokemon today.
Yeah,
But, do you guys really want to go watch Avengers Endgame where the first hour is, like, explaining who all the characters are?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
but they don't need to do the first hour explain that. There's very simple ways that they can make just visual cues as to, like, Thor landing down with lightning sparking around him. That essentially tells you the majority of what you need to know of who he is and his abilities.
No, I agree with you because my mum notoriously hates movies like this, and I think she was over here one day watching one of the Avengers movies with Joey, and she even said, I'm able to follow this. She went, I can't watch this because I haven't seen all the ones that come before. And I said, no, I think you'll be alright. And she agreed. She could follow along without needing the origin stories. And that, I agree with you, and that's what makes some of them good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just...
Whereas the same can't be said for things like X-Men.
Yeah.
You
Like,
have
it's
to
not,
have that pre-knowledge.
yeah. It's not going into it and going, this is how he started, this is what's happened, this is the thing so far. It's, as I said,
Previously on.
the simple things of Tony Stark, billionaire philanthropist with a mechanical suit. Thor can fly, uses a hammer, lightning stuff.
sweet.
Yeah, that's... If you can break it down into like a 6-word sentence, there is a way to show it within 3 seconds on the screen before jumping into whatever else.
Yeah. On the back of what you were saying before, Tegan, as well, I loved the way that they properly introduced repercussions in Age of Ultron. Like,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they did that from day one.
Well, you saw
the
that
whole
in
thing with
Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
even Iron in the
Iron
first
Man
one,
1, 2, and 3. Well, all three of them actually. It
had
touched on that
huge
really well.
repercussions,
As
right?
much as I hate 3, that's not Robert Downey Jr.'s fault, and it's not the way that Iron Man was portrayed.
and I mean,
Yeah.
the reason that Phase 4 is starting to lost me, which we'll get to in a moment, but in detail. But I feel like I'm using one of my own favorite fandoms. Sorry, I gotta slowly sneaking in. Why isn't it changing? Slowly sneaking in the Maltesers, trying to not open them loudly, but just shh. Let's watch.
Shh. Zoom it in.
Oh, amazing. Okay, but no, so we're not sponsored anyway, Jeff. But anyway,
Maltesers, if you want to throw us a bunch of money, my
please.
email address is
Oh, lifetime supply of Maltesers. We will take either.
Bilsons. If you want to supply me with vodka, going for one.
No. Okay, but so I feel like to use my own favorite fandoms and stuff against me for this, right? Is like Dragon Ball Z. There's next to no repercussions most of the time because Dragon Balls, right?
Mhm.
I feel like that's where Phase 4 has gone. There's next to no repercussions. It's just meh.
What does Phase 4 start with?
Black Widow.
Haven't
I
seen
didn't
it.
say that.
But anyway,
I haven't seen most of Phase 4.
So it's into Phase 2, is it?
no. Funnily enough, Phase 2 did not end on Avengers. It ended on Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
I fucking love that movie.
Again, going back and watching it now, I can appreciate it. It's an okay movie, but it's still not something I would watch solo.
I would.
I would.
I would not.
I would.
It to me was the first movie. Yeah, the first movie which I felt at the time, for the feel of the movies at the time, because I know Phase 4 has gone well down this route already, and then some. But for the time, I thought this one was the first one to overstep the humor line. And that's just my feeling.
In what way?
I just felt like they there was an overuse of humor. Rudd's character,
I think they did that in Ant-Man 2.
I just didn't like his constant attempts at quips. I just felt so forced. The first time I watched, I was cringing the whole way through, thinking, dude, just shush.
Had you ever seen him in anything before?
Not to my knowledge.
That could be the problem.
It could be.
Because I've seen him in several things before and I love his style of acting.
Yeah. That could have very well been it. As I said, like I can't quite put my finger on it. All I could put my finger on was it felt like an overuse of humor.
So one of the things, and to really get your head around Paul Rudd as an actor and as a person, is there's a photo.
No.
There's a photo floating around of Halloween of Paul Rudd and his daughter. His daughter is dressed up in the most amazing wasp costume. Like, she's got the
I've
whole
seen
kit
this,
and
yeah.
caboodle.
Yep.
And her father, Paul Rudd, the guy who played Ant-Man, his costume is Weird Al Yankovic. And I think that sums up Paul Rudd and his comedy style to a fucking
Doesn't one of his own kids dress up as like Captain America or someone other than Ant-Man as well one Halloween?
No, I think that was a different Marvel character.
Yeah.
I think that was Thor, wasn't it?
Alright, no.
It was someone else.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd walking around. You can see there's a great photo of Paul Rudd walking around with his daughter.
What was that movie he was in with William Scott, the guy from American Pie? Where they get the truck to hump the bull statue. That came way before Ant-Man.
I can't remember.
That I think is one of my first times I ever saw him, other than Clueless, which is what made him famous.
But look, the thing is, the original Hank Pym was always like a super stoic, really like hard ass scientist. You know, like he's the anti Tony Stark. He's way smarter than Tony Stark is, but and Anthony, both Tony Starks. Howard Stark, sorry, thank you. I don't know why I'm fucking struggling with names today.
We all
but
I
he-
half agreed with you there, going, yeah, that makes sense.
But he has the arrogance that he's that much smarter than Howard Stark as well. Like, you know, he makes his super soldier form look like a kid's toy. And he's that arrogant. And who's the actor that plays Hank Pym in the movie?
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas does a phenomenal job of that.
Oh yeah.
The next Ant-Man, the one that took the suit and took over, was a fucking idiot. Like, you know, it's... And that's the
And he
thing.
had no
like,
choice in it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, I like how Paul Rudd did it. I think he did a great job of it. And you've got to admit that you, as much as everybody else out there, wants to see the entire Infinity Wars saga told by Ant-Man's best friend. What's his name? The Spanish dude?
no, I no, not in a million years would I
You
want to
would,
see
I would
that.
watch that
No,
movie.
I would, no, I'm sorry, that just,
Mexican guy?
Yeah, Mexico,
look,
sorry.
the first and second time were funny. Alright, because the first time it happens, it's funny, and the second time, yeah, it's this again, it's funny.
But it only happened
Gets old.
once in the first movie.
Twice.
I agree with you. I didn't love the continuation of the Ant-Man story because, to me, it was they're repeating the same jokes. They used that side character as phone service overtly because he had. I completely agree with you. But Ant-Man 1 as a standalone, I thought was done very well.
Yeah. Essentially like what they did with Olaf in the...
Yeah,
what's-
like what they do with a lot of things.
Yeah, but especially with his character in number 2 of
Frozen.
Frozen. How,
We are doing well
No.
today.
I am.
how it originally went, oh yeah, he's kind of popular in this one. The fans seem to like him. We're going to bring him back, make him that much louder and that much more annoying to anyone who is not a fan of him.
No, he's
And it's going-
popular because of what happened in that movie, so do that again.
Yeah.
Don't just multiply it.
But yeah.
But it's something that so many studios miss the mark on, man.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
100%.
They do it with Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy and Groot.
Thankfully they pulled Rocket back a bit in some of the later ones, which actually gave a good...
They did.
Yeah.
Even in the Christmas one, they pulled him back because the second one, he was just annoying.
Yeah.
It was too far. It was too much.
Yeah, absolutely. The jokes about, stealing that guy's eye, or, we need that guy's arm, or...
It was funny in the first one, and
Yeah.
if they had never done it again until he met Bucky, and then as another joke, sort of went, "Oh, is that your arm?" That would have been perfect.
That would have been great. Like, just...
But all of the
Because you've
beating
got
the
so
dead horse in
many
the
years
middle.
between it, but it's like, you're like, oh, Rocket Raccoon's about to meet Bucky. He's going to want his arm. Like, the fact that
Yeah.
you can see the punchline coming before the joke's even laid up.
If they had just left it with the first movie, and then again
Yeah.
at Bucky, that would have been
Or
fun.
even if they had
Yeah.
only done it for, say, when the character meets a new guy that comes into the group or something like that, to as more of a ribbing kind of thing of, oh yeah, so you're new to the group. I need that guy's leg.
Yeah, absolutely. To push it. And it's...
That it's his form of hazing, not
Yeah.
running joke on back.
It's the Family Guy factor. The first time you see the chicken fight, you're like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then the next 25 times you see him fight the Chicken Man, the fight scenes get longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
Like, the first ridiculous over-the-top fight scene I ever remember was The Simpsons with the Big Brother program, where Homer fights the other, like, Bart's big brother. And it's got him, like, fighting down the cliff and fighting through the river. And
They're throwing starfish at each other.
Yeah, and it's the most ridiculous over-the-top fight scene. And I'm pretty sure it's the only time Simpsons ever did it.
Nope, they did it one more time
They
at
did
least.
it another time.
At
Which one was
least
the
one
other
more.
What's yours?
The Simpsons guy
The
went the
Sims-
crossover.
the Sims-
Peter and Homer go at it.
I've never seen it on
That doesn't
principle.
count.
But
No, it's glorious. And the comic book
No,
guy at
I-
the end. Worst chicken fight ever.
No, I detest Family Guy, and I hate that they did a crossover.
Mhm.
No, they did it once more in the Tales of Springfield
Yeah.
with the fight between Snake and Wiggum.
didn't they also do it with the Bumblebee guy and someone else?
No, that was a series of scenes in Bumblebee's show where he kept getting hurt over and over again. Close, but not quite the same.
Anyway, so that wraps up
Phase 2.
phase 2.
We're now an hour in and halfway through the phases.
Yep.
Do you want to put up it back in 5 minutes?
We'll put up back in 5 minutes. Won't be long. And welcome back. So, finished off with phase 2. So phase 3 has the following movies, ranging between 2016 to 2019. Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. So
Is that the most so far in
it
any
is the
phase?
most of a phase so far. Both of the others had 6 or 7, 6 each. The other two phases had exactly 6 each. This is practically double that. So it was the biggest phase, even phase 4, not that big movie-wise.
Right.
Movie-wise. So
Phase 3 is, for me, when it started coming off the rails a bit.
Yeah. I
Phase
like
1, Phase 2, like, was brilliant. It kept that same thing that I was talking about earlier, where there was a lot of hype. You had that, and there was enough time between to really build up that excitement. Phase 3 came out strong and
fell away.
fell away. It was like, oh, here's more Marvel shit. Here, have some more Marvel shit. Here, more Marvel, and it just felt like it was constantly every other day. Like, oh, cool, there's another Marvel series, movie, whatever coming out.
But they did come out very quick, and this is where I think I started to struggle to keep up.
Yeah, I'll admit, Thor Ragnarok was the last one that I actually watched all of it with. What ended up happening was I got to Ragnarok, and by that point, I think I was Marveled out. So after that, I'd only watched, honestly, 1 or 2. I think I watched the other Doctor Strange that came out because I'd already seen the first one. I felt like I had missed it, but I didn't really go into any of the new. I ended up watching Captain Marvel because I believe I actually came down with you or something like that. I came in. It was you or one of my.
Captain Marvel.
It was one of my friends that I ended up essentially. Oh yeah, you want to go see a movie? Yeah, sure. And seeing what was there and it happened to be there.
Yeah. Look, starting phase 3, Civil War. Civil War was the first time, I believe since phase 1, where we got back to see kind of a bit of that glimpse of that loving, genuine surprise we saw in phase 1. What I mean by that is the trailers for Civil War. The first 2 were glorious, but we know, in hindsight, Spider-Man was edited out. And that's perfect. This is why I don't like what's happened with the now you can be sued thing. Because trailer 3, they bring him in, and I had heard no word of it. It was glorious. I was over the moon because as I've mentioned in the Hear Me Out stuff, Andrew Garfield was my favorite Spider-Man, and when his stuff got cut, I was upset. I wasn't happy. So seeing Spider-Man coming back, I mean, it's bittersweet. But hey, yeah, seeing that partnership between Disney and Sony made me feel pretty good. And especially, it was probably more so the fact that I just didn't know it was coming.
Can I just say, my favourite scene in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies is, I can't remember whether it's the first or the second one, but I think it's the second one where he's like hanging up the suit. He's ready to hang up the suit. Because he's just not, he feels like he's not saving people. He's not, making a difference. And there's that kid at the end where Rhino's there in the full suit. That's the second one. And the kid's like standing there squaring off against Rhino, like in his like costume. And Andrew Garfield comes out, he's like, done a good job, kid. And like, I'll take it from here. And that is one of my favourite scenes in too much Claire. That is one of my favourite scenes in any of the Spider-Man movies. Purely because it shows like it's that true hero sort of thing. Like I thought that scene was brilliant.
I don't know why we got yellow. Anyway.
Join us, mate.
Channeling that inner Simpsons.
Yeah.
Well, can we start with Civil War? What I loved about Civil War?
Yeah.
Was, and it might not have been unexpected for other people at the table or out there, but for me, it was how it was split between which side Captain America and Tony Stark ended up
they
on.
marketed that so well because realistically, Captain America is kind of logically his side
should have been the one aligning with government.
But the camps were split pretty. At the time, I was 100% on same side as Iron Man because Iron Man. That's it.
Is that before or after you'd seen the movie?
Before.
What I meant was, it's surprising that Iron Man was the one that was like, no, we have to go by these rules. We can't be unchecked. Because all of his movies previously was like, fuck you, I'm Iron Man.
I don't need regulation, fuck you.
Yeah. And you sort of started to see that in Iron Man 2 with the realisation of what Idiot did and Whiplash and stuff. But I liked it. What I didn't like was Black Widow's double cross.
Yeah.
On Iron Man. I thought that was really shit.
Yeah.
I have to admit that was the first one that I started kind of trolling people in responses because almost everyone that you talk to at that point, it would become a huge hype thing of, oh, are you team Tony? Are you
Are you
team Iron
Team
Man
Edmund or
or
Jacob? Yeah.
team Cap?
Yeah.
At which point I'd always just reply, Team Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Team Hulk.
Team Hulk.
And,
Yeah, and I didn't like the way they did the double cross because I thought that was just shitty.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. Anyway.
I
Yeah,
did
sorry.
like the fight though. I thought the fight was excellent at the airport. I
Yeah.
thought that was very well done.
Guys, if you see this cool movie with Star Wars.
But yeah, and the funny thing is that, yeah, Spider-Man, anybody who knows the character well enough, got a laugh when they heard the, oh, if Captain America had wanted to, he would have laid you out.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man picks up cars no problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has done a lot more damage and a lot stronger than Cap.
Yeah, but this is actual proper teenage Spider-Man. Like he may not come.
Yes,
come
the
to
one
school
who
yet.
also started pulling back a ship together.
But it's also, the big thing in that is the experience factor. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're going to flick companies for a second, but Batman is just a dude. Like, he doesn't even have the superpowered armor. He is literally just a dude.
Yeah.
And he beats Darkseid. Like, you know, he beats their equivalent of Thanos.
Well, that's it.
As a dude, like, without using fancy tech even. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you know, Iron Man, yeah, he's just a dude with a magical suit of armor, for all intents and purposes. But it's the experience factor, and
that
that's...
doesn't exist.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I think that Stark was going with that. You know, if he wanted to, he would have. It's the experience piece.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that he's strong enough to do it. It's the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he wanted to, he would have.
Yeah.
Captain America is, and his whole thing is he's built to be the perfect soldier. Yes, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more agile, he's, you know, recovers quicker. But his training that he has and the experience that he has, yeah, especially fighting in an actual war, like, you know, it's so many different series talk about it, but it's, you know, having like these green soldiers coming into a battle that have never fought in a proper battle before. They've been in small fights. Like, you know, at that point, Spider-Man's fought a bunch of petty thugs. He's fought. You haven't actually seen him fight anybody big yet. So, you know, as far as you're aware, he's only been running around town like beating up criminals, like muggers on the street.
Well, yeah, you know, he says he got bitten 6 months prior to being visited by Stark.
Exactly. So, you know, he's very green at the time, but whereas Captain America has the entirety of World War II as his experience, plus everything he's done. You know, he's fought Ultron in that time. Like, he's done all these things. Like, you know, he's got that experience under his belt. That, yeah, he would absolutely whoop Spider-Man at that point in time. Like, yeah, Spider-Man's strong, but it doesn't matter. Spider-Man can be 10 times stronger. Like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. It essentially comes down to the only reason he'd have a chance is because he is that much stronger, and Spider Sense essentially gives him superhuman reaction time.
His Spider Sense also was almost not really there at that point in time. It came into the
Peter
middle
Tingle.
phase. Yeah, the Peter Tingle came in later. It was developing. Yeah,
But yeah.
Peter Tingle. Do you know that in the original series, there's only one person who actually says Spider Sense? Only
Is
one.
in the Tobey Maguire series, or
Yeah. Only one person, and it wasn't any main character. It was the person that led them around the
lab?
The lab at the beginning. It was the
So it was before he was even bitten.
before he's even bitten. Yeah, the lab assistant or the scientist or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, Spider Sense, if you will. That's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun fact. So Civil War, absolutely amazing.
I loved it.
It was, yeah.
And again,
superb.
it showed real repercussions. Like, it was real repercussions after all Edge of Ultron, but then when Rhodes gets blasted by Vision,
Yeah.
like, there's very real repercussions from that scene. It's not just the classic comic book thing of like, oh, he lost both of his legs, but it's okay, he got better. Like, you know.
But there's also, I mean,
The divide he put in the Avengers never left, even till the very end.
even
That
to the-
animosity was
even
still
up until
there
Endgame.
Yeah.
between Stark and Captain.
But I mean,
And if we're going to pick sides, I'm picking Stark.
yeah, I still do to this day. I logically side with Captain America. If I was there, yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Family.
I loved there's very subtle tie-ins in this movie. Like, this had a lot of subtle things come into it, such as even from the trailers, right? Just the subtle wow moments, but also we've had subtle inclusions of vibranium and things in the past, and there's been in Age of Ultron, right? I forget Andy Serkis's character's name, and someone's gonna
No, I can't remember it
someone's
either.
gonna fire me up in the comments once it goes on YouTube. But still, he mentions. I'm not sure if he mentions Wakanda by name, or he heavily hints at it.
He doesn't mention it by name, but
it's
he
there.
heavily hints at it.
It's there, right? And you think, oh, could it be? And then all of a sudden we have Black Panther in here, and they do those small little
Claw.
things. Claw.
His name is Claw.
Yeah. They have these little small.
Ulysses Claw.
Yeah, they have these little small things throughout a lot of the movies. Like in Endgame, for example, they reference
You're good, aren't you?
well, I get very fog brain after fucking COVID, and it's just sometimes I just want to smash something. It's so frustrating. But the underwater my articulation was always bad, but now the earthquake underwater that they hear about, you know, when Black Widow's talking to the four of them digitally, they talk about there, and I think I can't remember her name, but the lady who's currently running Wakanda in the absence, or the representative of Wakanda in that call, says, yeah, it's on the water, who cares, that's where it'll stay. They're referencing Namor in that moment, and yet
It's strictly worse Aquaman.
and he's only just come to surface, in the most recent
What's his name?
Namor. Yeah. Anyway, so a lot of these little subtle things.
How do you get worse than Aquaman?
They found a way. I mean, look, DC won that fight because they're not going to cast Jason Momoa as Namor, so DC win that fight.
DC win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too bad that it looks like they're actually losing him.
But yeah. Okay. Anyway, Marvel. But look.
We'll talk about DCU another time.
Yeah.
It'll just
So
be 2
anyway-
hours of me ranting about how fucking dumb all of other studios are.
But also, Phase 3 had a stupidly strong start, right? Or at least my opinion. They had Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Spider-Man.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
2.
That's one with his dad.
Yeah.
Hated it.
But still, the first, even taking that out, that's a hat trick of strong movies,
Doctor Strange was alright.
right? So with Doctor Strange is
I like
next.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it was alright.
I thought it was good. I've always liked Doctor Strange, though. I think Doctor Strange was done really well, and it was done. I think it was done really true to who he is as well. Like again, the animated backstories, the comic backstories. It's the same thing. Like he ends up in such a bad way physically that he can't, be the egotistical surgeon anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Batman's origin. Like it's one of those things that's been done so many fucking times that it's as set in stone as it's ever going to be.
Yep.
And I think they absolutely nailed that. Like, Benedict Cumberbatch playing him, like he played, same reason that Robert Downey Jr. makes such good
You're
Tony
really
Stark.
my goddamn mind. I'm thinking it's the same level. Same
Yeah,
tier.
like Robert Downey Jr. is a fucking rich, drugged up fucking playboy.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what Tony Stark is. Like he's an arrogant fuckboy.
Robert Downey Jr. is clean now. Be nice.
Yeah, sorry. All credit to the guy for getting clean as well. I should say that, but his character that he plays in Tony Stark is that like arrogant, rich, fuckboy, for lack of a better term.
But that's the thing. He started getting clean and stuff, I believe, before the even first Iron Man. So the reason that he could play it so well is because he had lived it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing with Benedict Cumberbatch. Like from everything I've heard, he's a lovely guy to work with, but he comes across as very arrogant. Like Keanu Reeves playing him, who's like genuinely the friendliest guy in Hollywood, wouldn't do a great job as Doctor Strange because he doesn't have that arrogance, that asshole, that ego attached to him. Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, genuinely does, and I don't say that with any bad thing, but the way that he portrays Doctor Strange is, I think it's beautiful. I love how he's done it. Like
absolutely,
and
perfect.
that ego and arrogance actually comes back in, No Way Home and Master of the Multiverse and things like that as well. Like he's got that ego attached to him as the master, the Sorcerer Supreme. Like
as they quoted right in Multiverse of Madness, he has to be the one holding the knife. and he plays that part to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked Doctor Strange, and again, I thought it opened up a fairly underrated character as he was at the time. Like,
I'd never heard of him before.
yeah,
I didn't have too many dealings with Doctor Strange myself, so this is around the era where they started to kind of introduce a couple of characters. When Guardians of the Galaxy, I had, as much as I know about the Marvel universe, I'd never heard of them before.
Neither had I.
And they're great. And same with Doctor Strange, I'd heard of him. I knew small bits and pieces. The most I could think of him was just the Marvel version of Constantine.
that's not even
Constantine.
close to a good
I
representation.
know.
of him,
I'm saying that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of at the time. Right?
And also, you were pronouncing it the American way where he's British. It's John Constantine. But yes,
Anyway, moving on.
Cool. They literally.
they got it wrong in the movie that Keanu Reeves played it, and that is one of the things that pissed off a lot of people.
Okay. I've literally just watched all of the animated stuff. It's Constantine the whole way through. But cool. Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Look, I didn't hate it. It's got some really good moments in it. Probably my favourite character development arc is actually in that movie. It was just a little floppy. They overdid Rocket. They tried to recreate some of the genuine humour from the first movie and force it in the second one, which is what I really love. Especially with Dave Bautista's character. Drax. Sorry, he will never be anything other than a wrestler to me.
No, see, that for me, that
They nearly
Honor.
destroyed his character.
yeah, but I don't know, I'm just perfectly still. No. Oh yeah, no, no joke would go over my head or something like that.
I'm too fast. I would catch it.
Yeah.
Funny, but his interactions with Mantis later on in it, it was
Oh,
all a
yeah.
bit too much, too forced.
Yeah.
My favourite character development arc is Yondu.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I
was
can
awesome.
see that.
That
I can see
was
that.
Awesome.
I would argue though, over the course of all the first 3 phases, right? I would say the top 2 arcs that I can recall right now. Let's look at these movies just so I don't walk myself into a wall
Is
here.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 the one that had Sylvester Stallone in it?
Yes. Captain America for his personal arc.
Sorry.
Iron Man.
You're off camera, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, Captain America, Iron Man. As cliche as it is, their arcs are beautiful.
I actually don't find Iron Man's arc cliche at all.
I found it really good.
I actually found he's really quite original. Captain America's absolute wank factor.
That told me that on camera.
But I do. I think, and look, I will fully say that I'm probably at that point with Captain America that anything about him I'm just not gonna like, and it's probably not. It's not the
No, that's
character. It's not the actor. I think
Well-
he's an incredibly overrated.
If I can attempt this I'm gonna fuck this up because I'm not gonna do it any justice. But this guy who's fought to get into the army to fight for others, to do all he can to see his entire world be taken away from him, and now no one fights for anyone by themselves. He's now brought up in this. He's trying to maintain that that good man inside, and that selflessness, and eventually just that arc of acceptance and moving into certain things, and then just I'm not.
But he didn't, because Civil War shows us that ultimately he's as selfish as anybody else when he doesn't follow his government's rule and he goes after just to protect his best friend, his
That's part
own
of his arc.
self-interest.
He's going for his self-interest for once.
Do you know who has the best?
That's not a good storyline.
Do you know who has the best story, like best personal development
I'm
through
worried
the
now.
through the arc of the whole Hydra takeover of Shield and all that stuff? Agent Coulson.
Yeah.
He is a man who genuinely believes in what Shield does. He's genuinely so loyal to Nick Fury and what Shield is at its core. and then you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it has that stuff happening in the background, and you can see his heart breaking and his determination of like, no, S.H.I.E.L.D. will continue to exist. S.H.I.E.L.D. will continue to be here. S.H.I.E.L.D. is here to be a shield for the rest of the
There's a
people on
difference
Earth.
between a good arc and just plain ignorance.
Pardon? Hell, Nick Fury did a better job of dealing with the Hydra betrayal than Captain America did.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
Mm.
Okay.
But I just find it baseless. But Yondu's arc, and it's actually even hit on in the new Christmas special, which I really loved with the little that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I
Without
won't
giving away
say, but
spoilers,
yeah.
because it's too new for us to actually give out spoilers.
Yeah,
It only
it's
came
only
out
very
like
new.
less than a month and a half
I
ago.
honestly have not seen it yet. You guys need to see it.
I loved his character. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu is my favorite character, but I liked his whole arc and redemption story, and the fact that it was against, and obviously Kurt Russell did a fantastic job of playing Ego. It was Kurt Russell, right? I think so.
I think so. I can't confirm. I don't know.
I think it was.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. And very briefly, David Hasselhoff.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know, he was briefly in SpongeBob too.
Oh my god. Let's not talk about the
The man,
bias,
the legend, the Hoff.
But the other character that I really
The
enjoyed
Hoffers.
in that movie was what's her face? Nova. I actually really like her character's arc and story the whole way through. If any character has received trauma, Captain America ain't it. It is her.
Oh, shit.
That poor girl has been bounced around from daddy figure to daddy figure. She's been brutally tortured by them all. And, mate, to come out the other end even slightly twitching is amazing. I
Yeah.
like her. I like her arc too.
And that's the
It
thing.
is Kurt Russell, yeah.
I also feel that this was the last one that had Rocket played well before they went over the edge with him.
I thought this was the one where they didn't.
Isn't this the one
is
where
over.
Taserface and stuff? I think this is the
Yeah,
one where he
but-
started going
Yeah,
over the top.
but that's the thing. They still had a lot of the...
And the fight in the ship
Yeah.
when they crash landed, that pissed me off.
That I understand, but at the same time, they actually introduced some stuff well, which I think actually makes the overreaction work in a way, because you can see that he's breaking inside.
Eh,
Can I say, while we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, the greatest voice actor in that series, in the whole series, has to be Vin Diesel, playing Groot. He says 3 words the entire movie.
4 in the first one.
What's his 4th one?
We.
That's right, he does too. But yeah, his entire thing, like my favourite thing is, you know, you watch interviews where they're talking about it, and it's like, you had the script of what Groot was trying to say, and then I am Groot, 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 written on the other side of the script. So it was like 2 columns.
Yeah, but I think that I'm worried that they may have already ruined part of, or a good moment in Guardians 3 in the trailer where you already see Groot saying, "We are Groot again."
Well,
Like,
that's
he's
the
not
thing.
meant
Have
to
we-
be
have we
able
seen
to.
Guardians
It's
three
only,
yet?
I don't think I've even seen the trailer.
it's only stupidly powerful versions of them, isn't it, that are meant to be able to say something
Well,
other than I
actually-
and Groot.
The
and he put
species
Stormbreaker
for
together. We already know he's amazing.
the species for Groot's people are actually meant to be able to say a lot more things, but as they get older, they start losing the capability of it. So as they get older and more intelligent, they actually start to being able to say less and less. But they also become markedly more intelligent.
Excuse me for a moment.
Bowser,
It's okay.
Give us a moment. Alrighty. Excellent.
Sorry, we're all good.
Thank you.
Wasn't Max
Thank you.
murderer?
No, well,
My dog thought it was, but
yeah. Big house protector.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
So hang on.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Has there been a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, or not yet?
Just
No,
trailer.
coming up.
I haven't even seen the trailer then.
Coming out. Not yet. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because of the way they did Groot beforehand.
So it's going to be without Gamora. It's going to be timeline-wise.
Yeah. One of the issues I had with the essentially going into the new ones is they made Groot so stupid.
In when?
Like, even with Baby Groot and stuff like that.
But it's literally a baby.
Baby Groot wasn't stupid. He was adorable.
Literally a baby. Like a toddler.
well, that's the thing. It's cut a sapling off him. Like he went back to being a baby, basically.
Yeah,
like and then
but
teenager.
That also shows that they didn't really follow the actual species thing at all either. Because as
I
I
know
said,
nothing about the species because it doesn't share that law with you. in the movies.
Again, I'm basically not going to accept. Oh, it was in the comics differently. Which fucking versions of Guardians of the Galaxy? Which version of Iron Man? Which version of Superman? Which version of going into like, oh, well, the comic said, like with the extended universe, there was a fair bit of lore laid out. When you look at comics, there is so much contradictory shit in Marvel, like across every Marvel comic, and they're all fucking official Marvel books. How do you pick one? Which one do you pick?
Well, this is it. This is its own iteration. Again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It is its own iteration
Yeah.
again. It takes source from them,
yeah,
but it's its
I
own
think
thing.
that it also just screwed with me again, like how the Mandarin screwed with you, because Groot himself is meant to be insanely intelligent, and then you have him in the first Guardians movie, you know, eating his own sapling on the.
But you're. This is getting a bit philosophical now. But you're assuming that human intelligence is what it is to be intelligent. Maybe that is how they express themselves intelligently.
Yeah. The
Just because he does something that if we saw a human doing would make them look like a dumbass, doesn't mean it makes him a
They
dumbass.
don't really show his intelligence.
Yeah, they do.
They do in Infinity War or in Endgame, where he's talking to Groot. Thor and Groot are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And Thor is having a perfect conversation with
Yeah.
him. Like Rocket,
But you see it in the first one too.
you see bits of it in the first one, but I don't think Rocket understands him as well as it's sort of made out.
No, he doesn't.
Whereas Thor, with Allspeak, can 100% understand every...
Yeah.
So what I was saying before, he's got the actual script of what Groot's meant to be saying versus I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot, over and over again. What Thor hears is what's on that left panel, on what is exactly what Groot's trying to say.
Rocket makes assumptions based on how long he's been with
Yeah, he
Groot
plays a
for
bit of
that
charades
period.
with him and makes some assumptions on what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've also had Groot in multiple iterations, essentially creating technology that far surpasses most of the things in the universe. That level of intelligence.
But
But
again,
again-
that's in the comics.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
as I said, this is how it was with me, with how it was with him with
Yeah.
the Mandarin.
Yeah, fair enough as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Alrighty. So.
I do like their way they, not knowing anything about him, I really like the way they portray Groot through all of them at all of his different stages.
Don't get me
As I
wrong.
already touched on at the start when we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, is the way they portrayed Star-Lord does not match up to how he is in the comics. In the comics, he's much more of the traditional superhero, you know, to the whole thing. Like, his backstory stays the same, but he's not a fucking idiot like Star-Lord is in the movies. Like,
The issue is that now, if they try to bring any of the things from the comic in that will require such a high-tech creation kind of thing, they're essentially going to have to shoehorn in something else to allow for it.
But what about like the game station that Groot is playing with? It's feasible that he made that himself.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we'll
So
have
there
to
could
wait
be
and
those
see that
things
they
already in there.
have already.
I feel like there was
portrayed
something
him.
else he was building. Maybe I'm thinking of Rocket.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. Homecoming.
loved it.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's first proper Spider-Man movie. I loved it. Thought it was great.
And also
Michael Keaton.
I struggled with it because Michael Keaton is Batman.
Hawk is
I didn't actually connect those dots when I first saw it. I'm thinking, where have I seen him before? About the whole movie.
I got
We're
incredibly
friends with this guy.
And then
as soon as he came on screen, I went, "It's Batman!"
As I walked out, I was going, I think I saw it with my partner at the time. I walked out and he said, "Oh, that was fucking Batman.
Yeah.
Why is he now old and a vulture?
Yeah.
Bats are so much cooler." Anyway,
Seems like
then the whole way home we were joking about him really being Owlman from the alternate DC universe. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that came up a lot in our conversations too.
Again, I loved it because it didn't actually. It's like basically skipped over the origin. Like we've seen the fucking origin of Spider-Man many times.
I appreciate that.
Like, guess what? He got bit by a radioactive spider, and then Uncle Ben died. Oh, I'm so shocked. Yeah.
I like what they did with MJ.
Yeah.
I thought the whole movie was brilliant. I loved it. I loved even the reveal where the Vulture and Spider-Man suddenly they both have the light bulb moment at the same time
Yeah. that
in
was
the
kinda
car,
funny.
and the way that they handled it was just so beautiful. And I love when he first walks into the house and realizes that it's the Vulture is the girl's dad.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Like he already and it just passes
He was
off.
already
as being-
nervous to meet the girlfriend's
Yeah,
father.
that-
And, yeah.
Yeah, like, I think
Yeah.
that scene was brilliant, and it for so many reasons.
But I like how they picked fun at themselves with his sidekick, Ned. I want to be a guy in the chair. I want to be a guy in the chair.
Yeah.
Like, that was hilarious.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also felt that it was a definite step from the big world-ending stuff back down to
Yes, it
my
was.
town.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was great. And hence Homecoming.
But
Yeah.
still tied into the big world stuff. Like the ultimate end, the final fight scene was all about Tony shipping all his stuff from the Stark Tower to the offsite facility.
Even the beginning, right? I've just done it the wrong way
Done
around.
wrong around.
But even in the beginning there, the whole reason he became Vulture in the first place, the pathway to that was him being segregated from his job, cleaning up after the
That's right.
destruction.
That's right. It brings it back, exactly as Rem said, to the small town implications. So just because there is a big giant war going on over on this side of the world, it doesn't mean that we don't still have problems over here.
And you can.
They might not be scalable comparatively, but
But yeah, you can watch this movie independently and you understand everything.
yes,
You get all the context you need.
yeah, to watch and understand the
Because
movie. Yeah.
understanding Stark Industries in this movie is like understanding Oscorp at
Yeah.
the beginning of a Spider-Man
Yeah.
film.
Oh,
Right.
this is this big company that's full of really rich, expensive stuff,
Or
and they're
Nakatomi.
transporting it all.
Exactly.
Or Nakatomi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
The
Any other
greatest
thoughts?
tower in all movies.
I think that perhaps the way that this pulled back so well is why I actually had an issue with Ragnarok and kind of stopped watching it after that. Because
Is Ragnarok the next one?
yeah, because I felt that they pulled it back and made it a much more personal feeling story, going back to the small hometown, going back to all of this stuff, and then suddenly Ragnarok. And it kind of just threw me
Now-
for the loop.
Ragnarok!
Just before we jump on a Ragnarok,
Yeah.
because we know this is going to be a hot point for all of us, most of us. The thing that was really good with it is it skipped the origin story, but it had him dealing with his own personal growth as well.
Yeah.
Spider-Man,
And navigating relationships in a new way.
yeah,
non-trope
absolutely,
style.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. He basically scrapped everything in his life. I can't do this because Mr. Stark might need me for all these different things. He literally dropped everything in his life and started having his life fall apart around him because he's like, I want to be Spider-Man. I want to be an Avenger. And he was dealing with that himself, like dealing with his own want to growth and that teenage thing of like, I can't do this because I want to do this. Like, and it was...
Teenage angst.
Yeah, that teenage angst thing. Like, and Spider-Man has always been well known for that teenage angst. Look at Tobey Maguire. But I think they pulled it off really well without having it about Uncle Ben, without having the cliche things to be sad about, like oh no, my family died or whatever, whatever it is. Like,
Can you call that a cliche?
fucking hope you can.
My
Look
relative,
at every edgy D&D
my
group.
guardian died.
Yeah. That's the thing. It goes.
Every tragic backstory of every superhero ever. Oh, my father figure
Yeah,
died.
it's essentially, I believe the trope is called the wife in the fridge, where essentially,
The
Don't
wife in
say
the
that in front of Freeze. Whatever
No,
you do, please.
essentially what it is the loved one who is essentially fridged in order to make give purpose to the hero of the story.
It's like the whole Disney thing that all the Disney characters don't have parents even though they're like 16 years old. Yeah, because if they had parents, the parents wouldn't let them do the stupid shit that they're doing.
Yeah. And for the sake of time,
Alright.
Ragnarok. I believe I'm going to be the outcast here, so I'm going to start off with mine. And I enjoyed it, but nowhere near as much as say, the first Thor movie. I still like the first Thor movie, and I really enjoyed Ragnarok because it was
I'm
bordering.
friends with this guy.
It was
I don't know.
bordering.
The more we do these, I'm starting to question that.
I told you, I think differently to most people on a lot of things, and
Which means we can't be friends.
I enjoy that train of thought, but when I'm the only one thinking that way, it can be really isolating. And it's very depressing sometimes, and it really gets to me. But
we're just going to glaze over that.
We're going to glaze over that. We glaze over that.
Let's ignore the
My depression and my medication will come back to you another time. I'm never touching that. No, but the Ragnarok, I did not like how Thor went from stoic to
Ask for
how did I end up in these chains? Let me tell you. That's how it started the whole thing. No, fuck off. Just Thor's humor, I did not like. The story of Ragnarok and the movie, loved it. It's Thor's humor that gets me.
To be fair, I haven't seen it. I think I've only seen it the once. And part of my dislike for it may have been my own fault in building it up to be something that it maybe wasn't. Maybe I misinterpreted what it was going to be.
You know, you're allowed to build it up when it literally has the end of the world in the title.
True. But I agree. It was jarring scene. And I feel like some of this was the Chris Hemsworth effect on the character, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because you're an actor. You're portraying a character. You don't bend that character to become the personality that you prefer to play. Yeah. And I feel like that is what has slowly happened to Thor over the series of Marvel.
It's what happens to a lot of characters in a lot of different series, and I hate it.
That's the issue, honestly. When you go to see a movie, you want the actor to fade into the background and the character to come forward.
One of the best examples of this, and don't groan and roll your eyes at me, but Twilight, right? So I read the books, I watched the movies. The books were way better than the movies, but let's not go into that. And even then they weren't great books. But anyway, what's his name? Robert Pattinson, who plays Edward. People were like going ridiculous crazy for this character. So he was getting stalked in real life. And so to combat that, apparently what he did was this girl was like breaking into his house level of stalking. She was psychotic. He took her out on a date. He took her out for dinner. And then she realised over the course of a 3-hour uncomfortable, awkward dinner with a guy that is not Edward Cullen, but is another human being, that this guy is not, you know, and that's the problem. They've merged them together.
Yeah, but that's...
I think that's what Benedict... And this is where I disagree with you on the Doctor Strange thing. I actually think that's what makes him a really good character, because he went from playing Sherlock Holmes...
Who is an arrogant fuck.
Who is an arrogant, absolute twat fuck, but in a very different way to Doctor Strange.
And I... Please don't take my comments earlier as me criticising Benedict
No, I know you're not.
I really like him. I think he does a great job.
Which you did stress to your defence.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm not. But this is where I disagree with the idea that you can only do justice to a character if that person has been that character.
Yeah, that's not what
Daniel
I actually
Day-Lewis
said.
is another good example of that method acting.
I'm pretty certain Benedict Cumberbatch has never been a dragon.
You know what I'm...
You don't know that.
You taking that a bit too far out of context. But that's what has annoyed me. I think it is this element of Thor that we lost along the way. And okay, you could argue and say, okay, but he fell in love with a human, so he's picked up human characteristics in the meantime, and that's why he's now sarcastic and blah, 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 blah. Okay, valid point.
Spent too much time around Tony.
But you have literally gone from, as Kami said, stoic Thor to...
And the thing is, you've spent...
I'm making fart jokes and think it's funny.
His humour is because of his stoicness, as we see in the first one, like Smash, another, right?
It's that Nordic...
Yeah.
That over-the-top...
His humour is not human humour, it is Nordic, stoic humour, not the humour we see in Ragnarok.
I think the other thing that I set myself up for failure with is Jeff Goldblum. Because I knew that he was going to be in the movie. So I was expecting his character to have a certain level of something,
Of Goblin.
and it was just not there.
So let me just break down Ragnarok, right? So from a story perspective, right? If you strip it down to its bare bones, I actually like the story of Ragnarok. So Odin passes away. They find out that, as Odin's on his deathbed, that they have a sister who is
absurdly powerful.
who is like fucking badass, which is why she got locked away. As soon as Odin dies, she rocks up, fucks them both up, banishes them off to the other end of the galaxy. Thor I can't remember what happens to Loki, but Thor gets captured and put into fight forced to fight in these in these gladiator arenas, right?
Yeah.
Runs into Bruce, into the Hulk, which again, take that either here or there, but again, kind of cool.
Because that's when Hulk disappeared after.
Yeah,
Sahara's kind of they half hinted at a Planet Hulk thing, because that's where Planet Hulk's meant to be, like on Sakaar. He's meant to be a gladiator, the gladiator there, and just kind of just rule them out. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
So then they go back. They try to fight her. And ultimately, they kick off Ragnarok, the end of the world, and the end of the world happened to be where at not Midgard,
Asgard.
Asgard.
But Ragnarok only destroys Asgard.
Yeah, only destroys Asgard.
Yeah. Which is
Asgard.
Ragnarok for Asgard.
Yeah.
And then they lost. That offers fucking refugees traveling the universe. As a story, right? If you storyboard that up, how fucking sick does that sound as like a high fantasy story? That sounds so fucking cool.
What's interesting is every time I think of Thor Ragnarok, I never think of the sister storyline. I always go straight to the stupidness in the arena.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the fucking their toilet bowl planet, like all these toilet holes that you've got to try and get through.
What's is it Watiki? No.
Taika Waititi.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to pronounce the name right.
He did a good job.
His character.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Korg?
Yeah.
I hate him.
The stone guy.
I hate him.
Oh, I liked him.
I hate him so much. Just that.
But he was there for the humor and nothing else.
The line.
Yeah.
That was what stepped across the line for me. His humor just ate away at my soul, and it's just.
It was essentially the toilet humor.
Yeah, but the whole movie, the thing is, he slots into that movie perfectly. Because there's so much of that shit going on.
He did a good
Jeff Goldblum
job.
is making jokes about it.
The first couple of jokes landed really well, but for me,
it's a chicken fight.
To preface what happens in Love and Thunder, for me, Korg was just another set of screaming goats. Right? He was great the first couple of times, and then it just too much.
Yeah, but Marvel do that all the time.
Yeah, I know. And this was too much for me.
But I didn't find
the
toilet humour. Yeah. I found all of the toilet humour in Thor. Thor and Hulk.
And Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. That movie, I'll be honest, I can't remember much of it. The only thing I remember is actually one of my favourite my favourite Marvel scenes, which is the bridge scene.
With Heimdall?
Yeah. The bridge scene where
she kills him? Or she hurts him?
No, the one where
he dies in Infinity War.
No, the one where they're getting away to the ship and it has the Land of the Ice and Snow playing in the background.
Yeah.
I can't really remember it, and that's the thing. I've blocked out so much of this movie.
It was a perfect action scene for it, but the problem is, it is a perfect and serious action scene in the middle of Ragnarok.
Yeah, and Ragnarok set up what I was hoping for in Thor, right? Just an absurdly powerful god of thunder, not god of hammers.
Yeah.
Then Infinity War comes around and he's just the god of a weapon again. Yeah. And it's just everything.
And this is the thing, like as I said, when you break down, when you strip Ragnarok down to what its story was, like, as I said, I've just told you guys a story. How fucking sick does that sound as a movie?
Carl Urban was in it too, wasn't he? He played
her
Offsider.
Yeah.
That's right.
I can't remember who was in it. But like you strip it down, all these awesome characters, everything cool in that movie. But it's also the one that's got the fucking replacement for Heimdall as well. The
Carl Urban.
Yeah, that's Carl Urban, the one with the fucking stupid toys and stuff. And,
yeah.
Like shit like that. Like it's
his
just
named rifles and such.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just they've got this cool, very serious sounding storyline that they've just, like Mitch said, I can't remember the action scene you're talking about because they've watered it down that much. Like they've watered down the whole movie that much that I've lost.
Well, I mean, like Lord of the Rings, can we pull down to one quote from Monsters Inc. throw that thing back where it came from, wants to help me, right? This can be pulled back down to one of my favorite memes, whereas, you know, guy destroys entire planet because he doesn't want to share his favorite toy with his sister. Right? I mean, it's the same kind. I love it. It's the same kind of thing.
But the thing is, again, like that. You're right. That's the overarching storyline for Lord of the Rings. Like, get the ring, walk to a place, drop the ring in a volcano. That sounds pretty shit. Until you actually break up what
12-hour journey of returning jewelry.
Worst Christmas gift return. But when you watch it, when you read the stories of it, there's so much stuff in there that you dive into this world. Like, you know, you care about the extra hobbits there. You care about the Riders of Rohan. You care about all these things happening in the world because of that.
Yeah.
The fact is that, you know, Asgard got destroyed, and I still don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, and because there's no...
And how is there no bigger significant ramifications from that? Considering how much control Asgard had over other worlds.
Yeah, well, I mean...
it may just not have come to fruition yet.
I mean, the thing is,
there's
look
9
after...
realms.
Look at the fact that Infinity War happened.
Well, because Loki made a deal with one of the realms in one of the other
But
movies.
look at it this way, right? Thanos didn't make a step until Odin died.
That's
Coincidence? Maybe. But we know from Ragnarok that...
No,
it's
he
a-
started because he started the Guardians of the Galaxy. He was
Yeah,
already he was in
But he
Guardians
was
of the
playing
Galaxy.
from the shadows
He's
as
playing
well.
from the shadows. And
Yeah,
it was
he
at
was
the
hiding
end.
behind
It was at
Ronan.
the end of that one, wasn't it? When he went, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Guardians of the Galaxy, because of the timelines of these two, they were right up against.
Where Ragnarok slots in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's speculation. It doesn't change the fact that the movie was generally
Well, what speculation? The
about
timeline.
about Thanos not making a movie.
Yeah, that's 100% speculation. But more half confirmed speculation is that with Hela and Odin, there's a high chance that they were hunting Infinity Stones back in the day.
Mm.
You know, because in Odin's care, he had a number of them in the same place at one time for a while.
Mm.
It's why. I mean, look at why
Well, that's how
Eitri was able to
It's the
just
first-
whip up a gauntlet.
it's the first Infinity Stone we ever see is in Thor.
Hmm.
It's the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
I had to think that for a second, but it correct.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. Like, as I said, Ragnarok, when you break it down to its storyline, it actually sounds like a really fucking cool movie.
Yeah.
So why do I hate it so much? And that's... I think at this point, looking at the time, I think we do have to wrap
Yeah,
up.
I was just thinking that
Um,
because it comes into Infinity War next, and that's a good place to start.
that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
You guys have got 5 hours to get back.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's 5:30 now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna call it here.
I think that my main thing was that I've already watched Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America. I've watched all of those. I realized at that point that even if I don't watch whatever new thing is getting introduced in here,
You've already said it.
I can still follow along with the big ones just
That you
fine
wanna
and not
see.
really
Yeah.
lose much.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen a couple of them. Like, I never saw Captain Marvel, and I thought, shit, is this really going to disadvantage me? It really didn't.
No.
She's a super powered alien. She's
Except for when she
Superman,
came
but
on the
worse.
screen with Widow, and I went, who dat, Marvel? And that's Captain Marvel. I went, oh,
Yeah.
that was
Right.
it.
But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please follow if you haven't already. This will be up on YouTube way down the track because it is gonna jump into the pipeline. But yeah,
We will continue talking about Marvel.
or this might actually skip the pipeline. I don't know. Just watch YouTube.
We will continue talking about Marvel, and I will have a 2-hour rant about why Warner Brothers are fucking idiots.
Oh yeah, you don't want to miss us talking about
DCU.
DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be really self-restrained at the moment,
Yeah.
but I'll make sure I'm proper drunk for that one.
How do you think I feel? I have to live with him.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Diane.
Mhm.
Tegan might not be there for that one. She might be at her mum's place that night.
But anyway, all good.
All good.
All good, cool. Anyway, look, we never really found out who the scroll was, but that's beside the point now. Thank you for taking the time to watch us and all of our opinions. I want to stress at the end of all this, everything we've said is just an opinion. It's not fact. Okay, it's literally just our opinion. And if it doesn't quite sit right with you, that's okay. But you're wrong. It's okay. So, but most importantly, thank you for hearing us out. And we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Where's my outro video? There it is. Bye.
Bye.
Ooh.